If you're like me and played Voidweaver for the longest time, you're probably looking at Oracle and feeling a bit scared, right? Oh my god, they nerfed it! Or maybe you never healed with a Disc Priest because it never made sense with you with all those atonements and dealing damage to heal. You preferred a straightforward spec like Holy, for example, cause big fat single target heals and many ways to react to panic moments. What if I told you that Oracle combined some of the Holy playstyle and some of the Disc playstyle, and today I'm gonna explain exactly what you need to know in order to have fun and blast with Oracle Disc Priest. Alright, first things first, the talent build, add-ons, weak auras, and player profile that you're gonna see are all in the description. Second, this is not anything advanced or a complete guide. This is basics, no bullshit, straight to the point info. If you want to get more advanced, I have a link to the Warcraft Priests Discord also in the description. So, how does Oracle work? Well, with Oracle, you get a new shiny button to press called Premonition. It has 2 charges and each charge has a 45-second cooldown. First premonition you press will give you Premonition of Insight. This will reduce the cooldown for the next 3 spellcasts by 7 seconds. Excellent for machine gun penencing, multi-dispelling or multi-shielding. We're gonna get to that in a second. Second press of Premonition gives you Premonition of Piety. This will increase your healing by 20% and cause 70% of your overhealing to be redistributed to up to 4 players. All this for 15 seconds. It's basically a great healing cooldown with a quote-unquote smart healing component, as it at least tries to send overheals to more injured players. Third premonition you press will give you Premonition of Solace. This will have your next single target healing spell place a fat shield on that target and also have its damage taken reduced by 15%, all for 15 seconds. It's not a power word shield, it is its own individual shield that goes together with any other shield you may have on. This works with Flash of Light, direct penance on an ally, and it will activate even with an offensive penance because Oracle also has a talent called Twin Sight, which will fire 3 additional bolts of penance to a friendly ally if you penance an enemy. It works both ways, by the way. You penance a friendly target, 3 extra bolts will go on an enemy. Final press of Premonition will be Premonition of Clairvoyance, or simply Clairvoyance. This is the big gun. This will be all 3 previous premonitions baked into one. So the cooldown reduction, the increased healing, and the shield and the damage reduction. So what are you left with? Well, you have your Shadow Fiend, since you'll not be running Mindbender anymore. You have your Evangelism, you have your Dome, and you have your 2 charges of Pain Suppression. These tools, paired up with the different premonitions, should be enough for any type of stressful situation in dungeons. So let's see how to play Oracle Disc Priest with some actual real-life examples. Let's take Kyrios in a plus 13 Rookery, where you will have 2 Crashing Thunders who deal significant AoE damage. You have your first press of Premonition, which is Insight. As the first Crashing Thunder comes, I press Premonition, do a penance, put a nice shield on the Shaman, then do another penance, put a fat shield on myself, then another penance, and I do not cast Smite here, which would consume my 7 Will and Woe stacks. I'm actually gonna wait to place a 3rd juiced up shield on the Monk. So now, for the second Crashing Thunder, I only have to pay attention to the Warrior and the DH. The shields do their job, and now I just penance offensively and place a shield on the Warrior, and voila, everyone is topped off. This is one example of many on how you can use your Premonition of Insight. Here is another, where on Goran's Crush Reality, I pop Premonition of Insight once again with the purpose to machine gun penitence and top everybody off, right? But the Shaman gets corruption, so I do 2 back-to-back penances and stop to place a shield on the Shaman. I then go for another penance, and noticing that the Warrior gets the corruption, I also put a shield on him. There you go, everybody's safe now. So you see why Oracle's Premonition is very versatile and basically allows you to bend your playstyle depending on the situation. Second Premonition after Insight is Piety, the one with the 20% increased healing. So let's take as an example the Void Rider's Localized Storm, which is a big pulsating AoE shitstorm. I use Radiance and a Mind Blast here and then press my Premonition of Piety. Do an offensive penance, place a fat shield on myself, do another Radiance, only this time it is instant because of the Oracle talent waste no time. After, I just Flash of Light the Warrior and we're good to go. Normally here, Premonition of Insight or Clairvoyance would be much better because you could have just penance back to back, dealing smoothly with the pulsating AoE damage. But regardless of how well you manage your Premonition charges, you will end up in situations where you have to make good use of, well, the other Premonitions. Like for example, in this pull, Attracting Shadows is being casted and I only have my Premonition of Solace to use, the one with the shield and the damage reduction. Also have my uppies and evangelism, so I do an offensive penance to put a big fat shield on Flame, and as the cast starts pulling us in, I pop Premonition of Solace, cast a flash shield on the Shaman to put the shield and damage reduction on him, since he's the squishiest out of all of our group. I then use evangelism to keep everybody afloat, and then the danger is gone. I mentioned earlier the machine gun penance, where you cast 4 penances back to back. You usually want to do this whenever there is constant rot damage, and do note this will not be as powerful as before due to the recent nerfs to penance. Now, you can do this either in Premonition of Insight, the first press basically, or you can do it during Premonition of Clairvoyance, the very last one after you cycled through the first 3. One of the hardest rot damage events is when you pull the 2 diffusers before the second boss in Rookery, where you have to deal with 2 Attracting Shadows at the same time. Here, once this happens, I pop my Premonition of Clairvoyance, which includes the cooldown reduction, the healing buff, and the shield. And then I press my penance for 4 times. The HPS goes through the roof at around 3.5 million, but everybody stays safe and sound, and I end up with a fully buffed up Will and Woe shield to place on myself. And here is the exact same example, but in the post-nerf era. So I have my Premonition of Insight ready, I do a Radiance, then Mind Blast, then I pop Insight, and although I would go for a machine gun penance, due to the nerfs I start shielding people as well in between, like the Boomkin, then do another penance, then I shield myself. We also got a Rallying Cry, which was really helpful. I get another penance in, and finally I shield the Hunter. And even with the nerfs, we still got to 3.4 million HPS, and remember, this is not with the Clairvoyance Premonition, like in the previous example. This was just Insight with the nerfs in full swing. Another great use for Premonition of Insight or even Clairvoyance, if the situation requires it, is to use multiple Dispels for nasty dots. In this 13 workshop, the tank pulled 5 dogs, and although Flame on his monk used diffuse magic for his debuff, the dots kept popping left and right. So, using Premonition of Insight, I just spam Dispels on each party member that gets the dot. It's fine to use it here as there isn't any dangerous pulsating AoE damage where you would get super value for multiple penances. I mean, sure, you can opt in for Giga Shields for the folks who get the dot if that's your jam, but that isn't the most efficient use, although it does show the flexibility and versatility of Oracle Dispriest. Now, I am fully aware of the nerfs, and while the shields clearly needed to be toned down as it was quite broken to shield someone for their entire HP pool, the more concerning part is the 15% nerf to penance, healing, and damage. This is something you 100% feel now. So yeah, we're looking at an approximate 8.5% nerf to Oracle healing in dungeons. And that isn't really the end of the world. I mean, it will surely be a tad more difficult, but man, is this spec fun to play. And the fact that the Premonition mechanic gives you so many ways to adapt and switch depending on the scenario, it's still very much worth it to try it out. One of the best times I had healing, hands down. Hopefully this video made it clear, and if it did, let me know in the comments. Is Oracle Disc still meta? Well, meta or no meta, you better check this video and see the harsh reality of today's WoW meta and up to what point can you play what you like. Check it out.